Hello, hello, hello. Josh getting in there with ticket really quick. He gets a little bit of taste of victory, and now he's off to the races, buying tickets left and right. All right. Let's see. Is that any better now? I can see a red bar, but not huge. You can hear sound now? Okay. Head sound. All right. It's a little bit of a bar. Jack this up here. All right. You guys should better hear it a little bit better now. All right. It's being weird today. I don't know. It typically equalizes itself, but I can see it up. Yeah, probably because I was changing the adjustments. It should be better now though. Yeah, I was adjusting some of it, and then I was listening to it. I don't know, no idea. It's it's internet karma, I guess. My wife sending me all these messages. She's like, "Oh my God, they're at the hospital." I was like, "Yes, I sent you a link. I'm glad that you read what I sent you earlier today. Glad we're on the same page, honey." She was like, "No, you didn't say." I was like, "It was in the article." But no, it was in the article. So we were arguing back and forth. All right, so obviously, guys, we had crude oil today. Crude oil was an absolute huge miss today. The birds are all excited for something. I'm not sure why, but there's what we kind of had going on for the day today. The pound gave in to FOMO. They were like, everybody else is doing it. I guess we got to do it too to stay competitive. So, which is, I was really proud of them before, and then today it was kind of like, all right, they did it. Okay, we have to do it. And it's funny, actually. I think they actually said, is it down here? Hold on, they called them out on it. Somewhere it says, um, no, it's gone already. Basically, they were talking about how they did the 50-point cut because the United States did it. I was like, oh man. I was like, I can't believe you're calling them out like that. But yeah, so they got called out, basically saying that because everybody else is doing it, that they felt that they had to do it as well to stay competitive, which is absolutely true. Which is why every country is going to do it, and it'll be even more pro business. Um, yeah, we'll see. But they gave in. So now the big question is, I saw it somewhere earlier. They were talking about it. They're like, "Oh, are they next?" And it's like, of course they're going to be next. Nobody's going to be left behind. But again, Dow had a rough day. You guys can see Dow enters bear territory, plunging more than 1,400 points. A couple different, I guess Australia came out with this $17.7 billion fiscal stimulus, which again, good idea. I mean, that'll help. I'd rather them do the fiscal stimulus to do the rate cut. I think that makes a little bit more sense. this it's going to report negative GDP numbers on virus. Probably. I mean, I would assume so. Like if everybody's staying at home and people aren't consuming and going out, of course there'll be a negative GDP. It'll be temporary, but it'll go back up. I mean, it's again, not this isn't saying nothing that anybody didn't already know. All right, so overall for the day, the news was for the most part red. I mean, the CPI number was pretty good, which is more of a dollar strength thing. Again, if the world's ending, we shouldn't be seeing any type of inflation, but we're starting to see some inflation in there. It's exactly what it was prior, so it hasn't started to drop on a month-over-month basis. I'm assuming next month it probably won't go up as well, but we were actually starting to see some inflation, meaning that interest rates were a bit low. So that's kind of what that means. GDP in the pound obviously came in at 0. I mean, they're not really, this GDP number is not getting exposure from the coronavirus. This is still just kind of this is basically back from the Brexit information. That's what that is. So not really surprised by that one. I expected this one to be low. A 0.2 drop, maybe just a 0.1, but wasn't surprised here. New loans in China, not really surprised here as well. They're still, again, suffering the kind of tail stages of things. I did post earlier today. You see that the president was actually in Wuhan. So again, if you're sending your top guy to where ground zero was, I'm pretty sure that you were good. You were past it. So it's kind of like they've now officially conquered it. They're not worried about reinfections, and it's kind of moved on. So if you're exposed, you're exposed. Trump is suspending travel from Europe. Oh, from Europe? Or he's not going to Europe for the next 30 days. Honestly, I mean, he's of age too. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you can avoid to do it, just don't do it. It's not the end of the world. Yeah. We actually, I don't know if you guys saw it, I posted as well. We actually have a case in Maryland. We have 9 total, but there's a new one that's actually right down the street, like 5 miles from my house. We have a hospital. There's a woman there. She's actually from Montana, but the response has been so great when someone has it, they're literally finding everybody they've been in contact with and kind of quarantine those to kind of cut it off. I wish they did this with the flu, but I guess they don't. But yeah, so it's kind of like, this one may just end. So this one actually doesn't even get tied into Maryland. It gets tied back to Washington State, or I guess Montana, where she came from, where she got it from somebody else. But, they're kind of on top of it. People are canceling stuff left and right. You guys, I already told you what's going to happen if they start canceling school here. I'm going to start rioting. I'm like, you cannot give my kids like 3 weeks of school off. They'll absolutely go insane. The other question I have with this one is, and I haven't heard it yet. Maybe I missed it. Maybe you guys know, you can help me out there. If they're pushing school off for 2 weeks because of the coronavirus, does that mean that they are going to push school 2 weeks longer because they have to have so many days in the year for it to be like a full year? Or are they going to make an exception? Because otherwise, my kids may be going to school till July, because we already go like halfway. We already go into July, or I'm sorry, we already go into June pretty deeply. I really don't want my kids to be finishing up school July 4th. I think that would be horrible for me. It's kind of like, man, summer's fun. Camps, vacations, I don't know. And actually, the big question now is, with everybody canceling stuff, like there was actually a high school team canceled games this Friday night that we're going to go to. I still have the lacrosse tournament because I'm hosting it and I'm not canceling it this weekend. But is the kids' season going to be canceled for lacrosse? Because, those are group events. Kids practice all year for this, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam, what's going to happen? And then Ivy League colleges canceling all spring athletics. I thought that was pretty interesting. We'll see what the rest of the NCAA does there. Winter sports, you're allowed to make that determination, basically meaning if your team is good enough to be in the NCAA tournament for basketball, you can still compete. There's no fans, but at the end of the day, who cares? They're not making money off the fans in the stands. They're making money off people watching it and all the gambling. So, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Again, you're not watching, the fans are fun to watch and they add the experience, but you care about the games. You care about your bracket. The bracket is what matters at the end of the day. Maybe we should do like a KTS bracket since, we're all work at home guys. Anyway, let's go into tomorrow and what it looks like. So tomorrow morning, we have some PPI numbers. We also have main refinancing rate. We have monetary policy. And interesting enough, look at this. Their rate is already 0. Right? Already 0. So it's kind of like, uh-oh, everybody else is cutting. Can we cut now? The answer is no. You're already at 0. So we'll see what the press conference says. I'm sure they're going to bring it up. I mean, Italy's basically all messed up at this point. Garlic doesn't ward off the coronavirus, obviously, so that's not going to work. But we'll hear more about the contagion and what their response is going to be to it pretty soon. So we shall see. All right, so that's it for tomorrow. So let's dive into charts. That's basically it. I mean, I guess we'll cover that. We'll cover the scanner too, but the scanner is kind of just on blah mode again. As you can see today, the dollar yen was really the only thing that really dollar yen again, yen obviously, but dollar yen and pound yen were the only things that really made decent movements. Dollar CAD as well. Canadian weakness, dollar strength coming back up again. Oil numbers today. Obviously, this is down because of the oil numbers, which was a huge miss. I thought we were going to get like a 3.4, maybe a 4, not a 7.7. Much bigger miss than I thought we were going to get. I was very surprised by that number that was that bad. But again, there was a cool little trade set up today, so again, you got to be happy with that one. Nadex, wow, they were jacked. Went over there, saw the nice little rally that I liked, and boy, did that thing, I was like, man, these things are completely, even the 2 hour, it was unbelievable. I had to go like 5 strike prices down, and it was still like, like $25 worth of risk, like 5 strike prices down with like less than 30 minutes to go. I was like, what is this? So yeah, but it's just, man, everything is just crazy spiked right now. I was actually talking to a student doing some mentoring earlier for 5-minute binaries, and I was like, yeah, I was like, things are probably moving, a lot, right? And he's like, yeah, they move tons right now. I was like, yeah, I was like, you got to kind of adjust things, accordingly. The markets are a little bit erratic right now, and obviously everything's a bit crazy. But for the most part, obviously this is back to somewhat normal. 175 is a bigger day for the pound yen, but again, would that occasionally happen, once a week? Maybe, yeah. Yeah, so it's not out of the ordinary. And again, dollar yen 90, a little bit high, but again, it's it's on the upper end of what normal for a day for that pair would be. Um, Everything else more or less flat. You just don't you're not seeing it there. All right. But again, what we are seeing across the board, minus obviously the yen situation, is you're seeing some dollar strength, right? You're seeing this pair down, this pair down. This one, obviously, this is dollar weakness. This is dollar weakness, but again, against the CAD, again, dollar strength, and again, this is basically U.S. market based. So not too bad overall across the board. All right. Looking at the scanner. So this is what I talked about, blob mode and scanner. Like, check out the CAD basket. Everything but one is consolidating, and that's versus the dollar. And again, you're seeing consolidation here. Pound basket. Look at this. Consolidation. And again, these two are down. Again, mostly because of the yen. It's not really so much the pound, but it's the yen and the Swiss pushing this thing to the downside. Again, people get nervous. They go to the Swiss, right? And we already know what's happening with the yen. Going back to the majors again, consolidation, anchor break, and then again, I'm not going to really mess with the New Zealand. Euro basket, consolidation, and again, against the Swiss, and this time against the Aussie, because again, we know that there's been some, a little bit of an Aussie kind of uptick, right? So that one is, again, this is the Aussie getting weaker, but again, all the way across the board. So not much there, but like this CAD basket, I looked at it earlier, I was like, wait a second, is this right? Like, you tap on it to see if it's still working. Yeah, it's still working. It's still working, but again, a lot of stuff's in just that kind of blah mode. Oh god, I wish you right back. Excuse me. Oh, that one snuck up on me. Hold on. Sorry. I got an appointment first thing in the morning. All right, so with that being said, I will say I don't know what the temperature is like where you guys live. Maryland, it was 70 degrees. I got up to 71 degrees on Sunday. So like we have all like the first shoots of flowers coming out, and like that first round of pollen is starting to come out, which is kind of ironic because like people are like my allergies are starting to bug me, and people are like, oh, are you sick? I'm like, no, I have allergies. Like you see the flowers in the front yard, like those are starting to get me already. And other people that I talk to are like, yeah, like my eyes are itchy, and it's like, yeah, talk about bad timing. Like I feel fine. I haven't been around anybody that he's even remotely sick, and I'm like, nope, nose is running, and there's flowers in the front yard. I'm like, this is what happens every single spring. So yeah, 71 degrees in March. We haven't had any snow this year, not whatsoever. So I'm pretty sure by the end of this month, we're going to have 2 feet of snow in some type of a blizzard. There's been no cold fronts, no snow. Haven't even really had icy days here. Like there's been no delays for the kids whatsoever. And we're already into March. So again, go global warming. It's just crazy how it works out. So, all right, guys, starting over at the Aussie. This was actually a trade setup from yesterday. Looking back on the daily again, you can see that the candles are starting to go back to normal, right? We had this one big one that's kind of skewing this, kind of data on the chart, and you can see they're starting to get a bit smaller here. On the 4 hour, we had a bit of a trace up, and then again, an immediate push back down again. Not immediate, but it took about 6 hours, but it was pretty consistent. We had up, and then we had back down again. On the hourly, you can see the same thing. It kind of hit this wick over wick area before turning and coming back down again. But it's a pretty big turn, right? One day of weakness, one day not. And again, kind of going back again, this is like one day, this is one day, this is one day. So you're seeing again, it is also kind of fluctuating back and forth with kind of like how the overall stock market is, right, in the US. It's like one day it's great, one day it's bad. One day it's great, one day it's bad. And it's kind of going back and forth. Lower time frames, again, today, was there anything great in here? Not really. I mean, like I said, there was this one trade from before that we had. Besides that, a little basing level here, but we didn't even make it all the way up. It kind of got stuck here before it turned and flipped. And no explosive moves in here, right? No explosive moves whatsoever. I would say we were probably overall still in this downtrend. Again, like I said, it pulled back. We had this big kind of impulsive move, a pullback, and then again, we're starting to drive lower. Below where we are right here, again, we did run into some buyers. We're starting to get into this long, long wick. So the true question is, where's the bottom going to be? A little bit harder to figure out for the Aussie. But anytime we get any type of a lower time frame pullback where it's something clean, something a little bit explosive, which we don't necessarily have here, this is kind of still in a bearish pattern, looking for this to continue to the downside. I think the stimulus is good, but the stimulus is typically just going to weaken the currency, as well as I think there'll be measures put in to kind of, start giving strength back into the dollar now that the big oomph of the rate cut is gone. I think this will continue to, we'll start to see some dollar strength come back in again. We are a little bit more resilient in what we're doing. Okay. It snowed here this morning. It melted by the afternoon, but we got an. Really? You guys got that much? We haven't gotten anything yet. No snow. Debbie, shut your mouth. Debbie, we want snow. You're in Jersey, and I know sometimes you get it, or you get it and we don't, or you don't get it and we get it, but we want some snow. Just once. We can get some snow. I'm good with that. But yeah, so that's way for Aussie dollar. Let's go down into Aussie New Zealand. So Aussie New Zealand, again, this one is pushing around inside of that daily demand zone. Now, price, it's hit here and popped, and then yesterday went further and popped again in there. As it's grabbing more and more orders, it's having a little bit of an issue. And you can see here on the 4-hour what it kind of looks like, right? Push down, pull back, push down, pull back, push down, pull back. Nothing clean under here. We're basically relying upon the daily, right? And again, I'll just do the overlay here. You guys can see that's kind of the area that we're in. So not the cleanest area. Again, on the weekly basis, you can see we're sitting inside of weekly demand as well. So kind of hard to figure out, listen, should we be buying, should we not be? Now, to the downside, this one has been a little bit better. Besides the one little day of craziness here, again, for the most part, we've been pulling down and going lower. On the hourly, you can see this, some zones have been put in, but we haven't really been able to get back. Here, we were able to retouch it, but besides that, nothing really triggered as far as a good clean zone here. And you can see on this lower time frame, we actually did have an area be put in, as well as it kind of popped on top of the 4-hour. So it looks like, as much as this looks like it wants to go down more, it looks like it is finding an area where there are buyers. And again, the indicator finally put a bottom in, and we didn't even get a retest back to it. So there may be something sitting in there. And again, this is marking that zone, just above on the hourly. Just be cautious about it. Again, it is sitting here right around approximately 103.14-ish area. I think the 1 hour is not only drawing it, but then also giving you the overlay, right? If we overlay it to the, I guess it'd be in here. Okay, right in that zone. All right. Look for a hiccup. I still think we're gonna have to be bearish on this pair. Okay, now it's gonna obviously New Zealand at this point. We'll see what New Zealand has to say. I think they're gonna be running into some weakness as well. So looking at the pound yen. So pound yen, same thing. Pull back, we retraced, and we're starting to push back down again. Again, I believe this is more of a yen story versus necessarily an Aussie. Again, this one is chopped back and forth. It's in an area now where, just like the prior pair, I do believe we do have an area of buyers here. I mean, the last time we pulled back into this area, we've had put lower highs in, and that's something we want to watch out for. Again, on the hourly, you can see we did form tops and bottoms, and again, had we use this level here over on the side, you can see we keep bouncing off of it, and again, it did it again last night. Now, we talked about it yesterday, but again, we did bounce off of it again, and actually gave us a little bit of a retest based off a zone. Now, we are pushing low. We are deep in this zone. Big question is it going to pop? If it pops, I do like this area for another short. If it breaks, I do like a Harry Potter to the downside on this one and see if we can get a retest back up. I think that makes the most sense. I don't see too much down here. And again, I think we can move back in this lower area. At least on the 4-hour, once we clear here, I think we're pretty much cleared down once we can get right below this level right here. Okay, this is a double wick. I'm not as concerned with it. So I do see some downside momentum on this one. Again, on the 30-minute, you can see it did mark an area. If we overlay it, you can see it's the same area. So again, it's pretty close in there. So top short, break, and a retest short, looking for the price to come back down somewhere over here into the, I don't know, 66, 65, I don't know, 60, maybe the 65.50 range probably wouldn't be a bad range to the downside. All right. I think that's kind of where this one is headed. All right. Looking at Aussie CAD. Okay, Aussie CAD on the daily. Again, we are now putting in, it's official, we have now put in a lower high, a lower high off of a zone, so it looks like we do have a turn and a flip in this pair. Now, here on the 4 hour, there was a little bit of a retest. That one came in, what? About 9 o'clock this morning, we ended up touching this 4 hour zone. Now, this zone isn't the smallest. It's about 21, so it's a little bit big, but not necessarily horrible. And again, that's on the 4 hour, and we actually I didn't think we'd hit it. I thought we were really close, but yeah. So we officially did hit it. Our 1 to 3 on this one to the downside. So there was one position today, again taking advantage of not only Aussie but obviously a CAD at that point. And again, price spiked up in that 4 hour range right for the oil news, and then just started to collapse back down again when the inventory numbers came out. So you can see it here. Again, zone's okay. Like I said, it drove price off very, very fast, but I think it's much cleaner on the 4 hour. Again, you can take a little bit less risk, but I think the 4 hour was fine. This one starts to get a bit small, especially with news. And again, all it did is it almost hit its full profit target immediately. And again, that's right around you know the regular news release time. But again, it's pulled back in the last hour and actually hit our full profit target. So Aussie CAD is not one of the normal pairs that we tend to look at for news, but because there's been so much Aussie weakness, it actually had a pretty good setup today. Okay. Looking at Aussie Swiss. Now, Aussie Swiss, we were looking for price to come all the way back up, right? Let me bring this down. Okay. We were looking for price to come back up. It was unable to get back up to that zone. All right. So we are sitting here right now. Okay. We were right here last night, and we were looking to see if we can get higher. It ended up bouncing off the zone, kind of front running and coming up before crashing, but we did not end up coming back up to our entry. So that entry was actually planned off the 30, and we didn't even get up to the zone here that we talked about that was retested that was a little bit more aggressive. So it's kind of in there, right? Now, where price is here, not only do we have an area here that we know the price is going to bounce off of, but we kind of have this area, right? In this pattern, we had a low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, higher low. So we know that there are definitely buyers sitting down here. I don't think this is going to be as easy as a short as the last one is. But again, it is probably going to continue to the downside. But I think this one is going to be a bit chunkier going down. Of these two, I definitely like the other one better than the Aussie Swiss. And again, this is showing obviously Aussie weakness, and this going down is showing Swiss strength. Again, Switzerland is in Europe. It's going to have issues with coronavirus as well. Once we hear news from there, I think again I feel at this point the Aussie's been associated with enough. I think that we will start to see probably some relief in the Aussie, especially with this stimulus package. If the Swiss is lagging behind, again I can see this starting to really start to turn and flip and retrace back up again. So Aussie CAD for me is better than Aussie Swiss. Aussie Singapore, you guys can see on the 1 hour, really not much, right? We kind of stayed in the same range. Kind of pushed up a little bit and came right back down, and we're the same exact spot as where we were last night, right here, right here. So we went down just slightly, a total of 9 pips in 24 hours. So Aussie Singapore is not too much. We haven't had any snow since 2016. Ernest, if you get snow, I'm going to be worried. Now, you guys get ice, but not snow. It's around 65 in LA, and it's supposed to rain all week. Yeah, yeah. If LA gets snow, it's kind of one of those things. I feel like people will think that the world is ending as well. All right, so those are the Aussie pairs. So let's look at CAD, right? So let's pull this back. All right, so here's what we got on the daily. All right, so let me stretch this out, give you guys a good view of this one, right? We had that huge gap down, right? We went all the way down, we went all the way back in the same day, and now it's taken 2 days. We're almost back to the bottom again. So again, showing a lot of CAD weakness. We saw CAD weakness today, obviously because of the number. Unfortunately, not really the best zones for us to get entered, okay? As you can see here on the hourly, right? Right here was the news. You saw a little bit of a spike up here, but unfortunately never got us the entry and just continued to fall away. So had you been using CAD Yen today, unfortunately you didn't really have the best entry. And same thing. Right here was the news. Again, you saw it push up and then it collapsed, but it didn't actually go up in any zone. So CAD Yen would have been very difficult to actually trade it. The Aussie CAD was a much better position. It pulled up into a zone. Yeah, typically you like to trade it here, but just wasn't happening today. It's not going to happen every day. So at this point, I see this coming back down. It's probably most likely going to bounce off this bottom zone. This is just the first of many areas of buyers. I think we need to break this before we can go a bit lower. I actually do think we will get a little bit more CAD weakness, not only with the oil front, but also with the COVID-19. I do think that will. I think we're going to start hearing some more. And again, because Canada does have one advantage. You know, Canada has obviously populous centers, but then a lot of what they have is in the middle of nowhere. You know, you kind of have Toronto and Vancouver, and then everybody else is kind of just out there. So I don't think it will necessarily spread as far. I don't think that they are. I don't know. I mean, if it gets out to the rural areas, obviously it's going to be easier for it to spread, but at least there's limited population out there. I think the one bit that we kind of have an advantage right now is the fact that we're like tracking everybody at this point. We are drawing the big like I don't know. You watch some of those like crime movies, right? You see the guy in the room that has like the one picture and the thread that goes from one person to another. I feel like every hospital is like that right now, trying to connect the dots of every single person. Like there's got to be a huge database right now. Um, Aussie's free falling. Yeah, Aussie's in a weird situation because they weren't actually affected by COVID-19, but they were affected economically because of the low demand in China. Okay, they really still haven't seen kind of all the. I mean, I don't know. China first had the burning fires, right? So they had the forest fires, then they had the low demand. They're going to probably get hit with the virus too, and there'll be some news out of the virus. Obviously, the more industrialized nations are able to handle a little bit better. Australia's kind of a situation. It's got some, industrialized areas and some not. Okay. My wife actually brought it up earlier. She heard that it's in like the Congo, and they still have Ebola over there that they're dealing with. So yeah, it's rough. But this one, I think, again, this is going to, kind of bounce back with oil. I don't really love any of the setups in this one right now. Like I said, I'm still looking for the gray area up here. I'm drawing the gap area. I think that's the best short if we can get up. We got to clear this area. We got to take this zone out, this zone out, this zone out, this zone, and this one out before we can get any type of good entry to, stabilization on the bottom. Now, looking at Swiss, again, Swiss is also doing the same thing. Retraced up all the way back up to where the gap was, and then started to push back down again. On a 4-hour, this one is not as impressive. Again, this one is kind of going sideways. Here's the hourly. Again, we are bouncing back and forth, but even off the levels we talked about last night, didn't hit it, didn't hit it, didn't hit it, didn't hit it. I mean, again, we're finally getting back down to the zone, but I do believe this is going to break based off of how low this is. So even on a short, on the smaller time frames, the CAD is just not delivering. This was last night. This was today. This was the oil news. Very small opportunity here, but in all honesty, I would have waited until it hit the top bracket, not taking it off of this one for something like oil, and it did. It went all the way to the very, very tip, the very end of this, but I would have waited. So again, if you were super aggressive, you potentially could have gotten into this one, but I would have waited for the upper end of this zone because we had seen price push here, and this was a little bit lower, but again, news based, right? Should have went a little bit higher. On the 30-minute, again, you can see kind of what that looked like. Not even really any explosive bit of movement in here. It's kind of disappointing, right? For such a big miss. Here's the 1030. There's the spike, and that's drop. And if you look to the left, not even a zone. So just no way to get into it. So CAD was, pretty boring today, unfortunately. Like I said, Aussie CAD was really the best one of those. And again, that was probably more of a gold versus oil play than it was anything else. That's all you're going to be able to do. I mean, it's pretty bad when you're seeing those things when you go something like the CAD. So looking at Swiss yen. So Swiss yen did kind of what we talked about, right? A huge push down, hit a zone, came all the way back up again, and then in 2 days now, it's already starting to erase those gains. Now again, the moves are getting smaller, which is not bad. Okay, here are the 4-hour levels. We talked about these yesterday. As you can see, here's where we are right now, and here's where we were last night, down here. Okay, so we did come back up. We did touch it, did push to the downside. So the zone was valid again. We ended up going right past the 1 to 3 in this one. Again, weird pair, again, because this has not only the fear effect in it, but also the yen, which is obviously US based. So you could have taken this one. Again, I'm a little bit cautious with the Swiss yen right now. But again, I think this is again, on the larger time frames, not necessarily a bad setup. There you can see it on the hourly. Had you been going for the actual top area, you would not have gotten filled. Again, here's the gap. It actually pushed higher. So it's one of those ones that you would have had to time this correctly, use the correct pair. Had you gone too low and over tweaked it, you would not have gotten your entry on there. It is what it is. Unfortunately, we didn't hit it any of these places. But the 4-hour risk on this was what? About 40. 40. So I mean, it seems like a huge amount. I mean, right now the ATR on this is 80 pips, in 4 hours. The daily is 127, which is way, way, way higher than it actually would be. Um, so it's kind of one of those. It's like, would I have waited? Would I have much rather taken, a 22? Probably. Is this a better trade? Yeah, it probably is. But it popped and ended up leaving, left without us. Left without us, unfortunately. Even on the 30-minute, you can see we really, not really a zone or anything we could take over here. You can see the 4 hour zone up top. So at this point, I'm going to wait till it comes back down again. We'll see what's down here. This is most likely where I'll be looking for buys. This is in this gray area. We marked it off last night. That is based off of kind of the combination of the 4 hour and the daily. And it's sitting right above. Yeah, it's the combination of the 4 hour and the daily that we drew. Okay, yeah, down in that level. So that area for me comes in at 109.61 down to 109, like 35. And again, that's a combination of a couple of different things over in this area. Okay, between these two charts. Okay, we drew that one last night. Okay, let's go into the euro. So Euro basket has given us a little tiny bit of life in here, but like I said, you're seeing a lot of blue up here. So what I'm looking for is supply zones inside of the euro pairs. Again, I didn't cover this before, but again, you're seeing blue here. You're seeing all red here. And then pound, you're seeing strength. So strength, weakness in this case. Okay. And also weakness inside of CAD. Okay. So on the daily, are we going to get back up to the zone? Well, this is Singapore. Hold on. Not this one. Let's start over here. Okay. There's our daily. And you can see we're starting to consolidate, starting to push further, and we pushed into a zone that we marked off last night. Okay, so here's a 4-hour zone. Now, the zone that we created was actually based off of a lower time frame. You can see it's more inside of this range here. We've seen it pop one time, and again, we could have done a bit of a revision off this one. It didn't even move to the opposing zone, which is kind of like, is it really trending? I think we can go one lower. Yeah, we can refine this just slightly into about that area right there. So there was a little bit of a trade. Let's see. Here's 22. Here was kind of what we dealt with today. Here was early this morning. Okay, here's where chart school was last night. So there was one bit of an entry, but unfortunately, this didn't really move as much as you would want it to, right? Your 1 to 3 was sitting below this zone, which is not necessarily the best idea, right? When we have this kind of sideways bouncing back and forth, that would have been the trade entry. That would have been your target, and you didn't end up hitting it. So kind of questionable. And again, that's why we always want to make sure we know that a trade has enough room to run before it runs into an opposing zone. In this case, it didn't. It just happened to be on the border, on the bottom side of that zone. And that zone was tested. You guys will see right here. I don't know if you guys can see this enough. Right here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Right here. You see how this came in, tested this zone? We knew there was buyers sitting there. Okay, so here, right, there is your risk to reward. There is your 1 to 3. Okay, having that risk, you want to make sure that we can at least move this far, and we had this zone sitting right here. Okay, so if you wanted to take that off for like a 1 and the 2.5 or maybe even a 1 to 2, you could have possibly done that. Put your target somewhere sitting in this zone right here. Here, I'll draw a thing right in there. And that wouldn't have been bad. Again, it was tested here. It was where the pop happened here off this retest. And you can see it kind of did base around that area. So that would have been okay to take. But again, this target was a bit too ambitious, I think, had you been trying to go for that full bit. Okay. Where we are now, I mean, there's nothing really sitting here above, unfortunately. I mean, I don't really see anything that I love in this trade until we get back up top. So we'll walk on that one. EuroCAD, okay, you guys can see here. Here's the daily. Again, EuroCAD is still sitting inside of that same range. It's still technically in a consolidation pattern. On the 4 hour, not too much to read. Again, we had a low area today. You guys can see this is what we're looking at as the low area. This is on the 1 hour. Here at about 11 o'clock, again, this was a new spike to the downside. You can see that we not only got triggered, but that we went up and hit our 1 to 3, as well as our 1 to 5, actually, in the same candle in the last hour. So this one didn't have huge risk in it. This one had risk of, when I say huge, I mean we're talking like 30 pips on this one, but we're down on the hourly already. Here was the 30-minute. And again, that's what it was drawn off of here, okay? And you can see we ended up touching it. It went down to about here. Right. Yeah, it's right there at the very bottom of that one. So again, that's why we need the extra room. And so it had the full run. I mean, again, there's 120, 150 on there for profit. Again, another one of the CAD pairs that just happened to spike at the same exact time that the news release came out with the bad information, right? Gave that little pop down. And again, I mean, I can say it a million times, right? When we push into a zone before news, that's the time to kind of take advantage of these things. And that's exactly how this one worked out. Okay, so again, another one of those CAD trades from oil today, all right, in Euro CAD. Where we are now with this one, the top side's a bit sloppy on this. You can see these are the zones that we're in. I think it needs to go a bit higher and start forming its new levels. There was a bit of a level right here, and this breached just the top of it. So there are buyers or sellers sitting right up in here somewhere, but you'd have to guess where they are. So at this point, you know, let this one go. Wait till it starts to form some levels. I would not use this level to the downside. If we do break it, though, I would be looking for shorts to come all the way back into this area down south, potentially at 151.99 or obviously 152. Those are probably pretty safe targets to the downside. All right. I was like, what the heck? So that's EuroCAD. Again, another oil setup from today. Euro Swiss. Here is the daily for Euro Swiss. Okay, we had a bit of a pullback, a bit of a push down, but again, we're not sure what we're running into. Okay, there's not clean levels on the top or the bottom. On the 1 hour, as we mentioned, here's where we are now, right? And here's where we were last night. And I said, hey, we're at 50% in the middle. We need to go top or bottom before we do anything. We went down a little bit today, but we're not quite down to the bottom side yet. So again, we still need to wait till we get back down to 105.52. Is that right? Yeah, 105.52 before we start even looking for any type of similar. Tom Hanks tests positive for coronavirus. No kidding, really? Tom Hanks can beat anything, though. I have full faith that he will recover. But that's a shame. I hope everything turns out good for Tom. But I'm pretty sure Tom will be okay. Yeah, I wonder where he got it. I still want to know how many of the British Parliament members end up getting it. Because that doctor had it, and she was like, talking to them and sharing drinks with them and all that kinds of stuff. It's like, yeah, you can't do that. All right, so Euro Swiss again, we can't really do too much with. Euro Pound. So Euro Pound actually did not have a bad day. 55 pips up. We're not getting too much retrace back. Again, a lot of this has been in the last 4 hours. Again, on the daily, driving higher. Okay, we are in that wick over wick area now. You can see we're at the very, very bottom of it right now, and there's the very, very, very top. I can draw a line across so you guys can see it. Again, this is a daily wick over wick. Okay, so question is, can we drive up past where we were last time? Okay, here is it on the 4 hour. Okay, you guys can see we're at the very, very cusp of it right now. It's been very, very strong over the last 4 hours. Over the last hour is where most of that movement actually comes from. So if we push higher, we are looking for longs out of this area. Now, this would definitely be euro strength and pound weakness. We could see that. I could see that continuing. I don't know. We'll see how far I can go, though. Like I said, I feel like we will get bad European news. But again, European news is comprised of a lot of different countries. Okay, if we get pound news, it means all of the UK is in trouble. So it could definitely move higher. All right, but again, we are sitting there on a daily and a 4 hour, so you need to keep this in mind right now. And again, to the top side, it's about 100 pips above. So pretty interesting trade setup if we can go long. But again, it has just been rallying back, bounce off that level right here. Again, you can see that this one had the entry candle right here. Okay. And if you're in this one, get out now. You're hitting an opposing zone. It's best just to take your profit if you've been long from last week. Okay. But 4 hour, we're in a position here. Not ready to short it right now based off of what we're seeing. It's got to go a bit above or again on the lower time frames, which you're just not seeing. You're not seeing any type of any type of retracement, any type of basing, any type of red, green, red. So we're not ready to go there yet. Both. Who's both? Tom's wife? Both were down in Australia for the pre-production of. Okay. Yeah, if they were overseas. Yeah. I think anybody that's traveling whatsoever, I think at this point they're producing. I think they said they're producing like 35,000 tests a day or something like that. Rita Wilson. Okay. Yeah, I think they're producing. I read it earlier. Something like they're producing like 30,000 tests a day or something like that. But basically, like they have the capacity, like that they will be able to test every single person that comes back now. Um, to be able to try to eliminate all that kind of that bit. Now, the fact that we haven't closed our borders yet, I'm actually pretty surprised. Trump was very, very big to close the borders for immigration, but hasn't done it yet here. You would assume that he may, do it here or put a halt to any type of immigration or anything else, like a full shutdown. Like you don't need a wall, right? You know, who knows? I'm shocked we haven't done more, but yeah, that sucks for Tom. Hope he has a speedy recovery. So euro pound, we really don't have too much on the euro pound. Let's shrink this guy back and go to euro yen. So euro yen, we're driving back down again. I like the drive. I want it to continue to the downside. Okay. We do have an area that we're about to run into in the 4 hours though. On the daily, I like the way that this thing came crazy down with emotion and then immediately shot all the way back up again. I love that. Think that's great. Here, again, that's where the base that turn was, and it took off, has not come back down. So this is going to be a fresh test of that area. You can see when we dive down to the hourly, it is approaching that area now, and we are seeing a little tiny bit of a pop. It did spend a whole heck of a lot of time there, but this is also on kind of the upper end of it here. So, you know, we'll see. Like I said, it's close. I want it to fail. I want it to go down to this level. It spent a lot of time here. So again, this one may kind of take 1 or 2 bounces before, kind of cracking the egg before you dump it in the pan. I like to see these get pushed down. I like to see the yen come back here. I like to see euro weakness. I want it to come down to this bigger level. Again, that is a daily level that we're looking for actually down here. It's even a little bit below this. But we are within striking distance at this point. You can see one big push down. We could be good. Now, it is Wednesday night, right? We have 2 days left. Could we get 2 days down to that level? Okay, right now the daily ATR is 150. That level I talked about is 250 away. So it's less than 2 days ATR with some news. Again, there is European news tomorrow. Could this move 150 pips tomorrow and be within 100 pips on Friday? Absolutely. So this could be a cool Sunday night setup for us from this area. Okay, we've talked about this area before. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. A lower time frame, again, I don't really see too much. You're not really seeing too much of a chance for it even to pull back, even on the lower 15. There's just not a lot of entry to get in. Okay. Looking at Euro New Zealand. All right, so Euro New Zealand is something. You're going to see, again, crazy spike, pullback, and now we're pushing forward. So this zone is probably still okay. I'd want to see some type of a confirmation entry from it. This just emotional spike just blew everything out of water. I'm sure things got reestablished, especially when this thing pulled, kind of pulled all the way back up again, pulled to here, close, and then shot. So we know there's something sitting in that range. We're only about 90 pips away from it. So, I mean, it is getting within striking distance. On the lower time frame, again, I like the way that this thing left this area. We're in a minor zone right now. I don't think it's going to hold. It's already pushed pretty deep inside of that zone. We had kind of one front run and then the one that wasn't quite as close. And again, in the last hour, we're seeing that kind of push forward. So, although it's a zone, I think I'd wait till we get up top. And then again, you could potentially throw yourself in to something along those lines. Okay. I like where the 1 to 3 target is. That was the last time we had a big spike. So if it just kind of grinds slow here, or even continues up in the next, well, it's only got 12 minutes, but in the next green candle up, that's a nice little kind of, emotional response forward, more than what we've seen lately. The 1 to 3 target's in a great location. The 1 to 5, not quite as good. I give it like a B minus because it is just past, you guys can see here, it's just past the start of this move. So that means it's inside of the actual zone itself. 1 to 3, I'm good. 1 to 5, it gets a little bit iffy. All right, and that's Euro New Zealand. Now remember, this pair can move. Your risk is going to be quite large. All right, Euro dollar. So you guys can see here, this is Euro dollar on the hourly. Okay, we'll go up to daily. We'll refresh these things. Again, you guys can see we're coming off this higher level zone. Here's your 4-hour targets. Here is your hourly. Now you can see that there was a bit of a trade earlier, right? Right around the 7 to 9-ish time frame, we got 3 different entries into here. Small zone. I'll move this one over so you guys can see it. Okay. There would have been your trade setup. And it was almost an immediate response within like an hour or two. So this is the 11, basically the 11 and the 12 time frame is where this one ended up going through. Again, right around, this one started a bit earlier. And again, nice pull up, kind of hit an area here, but again, nice response out. Indicator drew this one, tagged it, and then shot to the downside. So it is retracing. Would we take this zone again? It's actually not a bad zone. It only grazed the top. It did hit it 3 times. You guys can see it here. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. You guys can see it hit and pushed back, went again, pushed back, and then opened below, and then took off. So I do believe there's probably some orders sitting in there still. This zone total is about 16 pips, so it does meet our wheelhouse as far as where we'd like to be, especially on an hourly. I think when this one hits is also going to be kind of dependent upon that one. The main refinancing rate monetary policy and ECB press conference is not until tomorrow morning, 8:45 and 9 a.m. So, excuse me, it is a bit later. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to end up hitting before that. If it hits around the London Open again, that may give us the excuse for this thing to get pushed back to the downside, giving itself some dollar weakness because everybody's trying to get weak. And again, the numbers aren't supposed to be good. They're expecting bad anyway. If they're trying to prepare for that bad, again, they're going to want to kind of push it a bit higher and maybe start to prepare a little bit ahead of time. So probably not a bad trade setup here on the hourly for the dollar. I'm sorry, the euro yen. Euro Singapore, again, driving higher. There's the daily. There's your 4 hour. Not really a great top on this one in any of these stretches. This one's okay. It was, pushed, retested, and then hasn't been back since. It's already starting to kind of peel away from it. Don't really necessarily like this one again. For some reason, I just really haven't been in love with the Euro Singapore trades. We did hit this bottom, and it is actually rallied higher, but decent pop from there. That's about the only thing I could say about that one. Again, it was a decent pop. The zone's not bad. Again, like I said, this is probably the largest candle on this entire board right now. The risk level on that one, yeah, 48. So, I mean, I wouldn't have taken it. It's just not worth 48 pip risk for the Euro Singapore. Really, this one has just gotten crazy out of hand. The daily on this one is 145. So, still a bit crazy. All right. Let's go down to the pound. Oh, I forgot how much I dislike spring and spring allergies. All right. So, on a daily pound CAD, is that the first one? No, pound yen should be first. There we go. So pound yen, actually now it is down 228. So obviously this one in the last 60 minutes has taken a bit of a dive. This one's definitely gone much worse. All right. So let's see what we got here. We are pushing down here. We're not at the best level of demand, but we are pushing down. Last time price was here, it kind of turned. So let's see on the lower time frames what we got. Yeah, you can see there's about a push here. Again, this one came back on that 4 hour, grabbed it and pushed. It's heading to the downside. Again, this would have been one of those Sunday gaps, at least on the 4 hour, right? There would have been your entry. Again, back and forth, pushing lower. Definitely some buyers here. Let me see. Actually, we should be pretty clear till down in that level. We got about 137 to the downside, so this could definitely be a continuation. Yeah, there's the zone we drew last night. Okay, here's where we are right now. Here's where we were last night. So it came up. We didn't get entry. We would have missed the entry on that one to the downside. But you guys can see, for the most part, it's pretty much straight down today. Okay, and again, not surprising. You did an emergency rate cut. It's obviously going to weaken the currency and continue to push it. Although in the last hour is this one? Let me see. What do we got here in the last hour? Oh, it's the Europe thing. Trump suspends travel from Europe to U.S. So yeah, he said all travel from Europe would be suspended for the next 30 days. I'm reading it right now. Oh, but wait, he said the strong but necessary restrictions would not apply to the UK, where foreigners in the case of the virus have not been confirmed. Huh. That's interesting. Look at that. Do you guys see that? Right here. It would not apply to the UK. So Trump is working some deals. So, this is an interesting question. Maybe, again, I'm broadcasting, but maybe you guys know this one. If Trump says, look at this, it goes into effect Friday at midnight. So right now, if you were overseas for work, you basically have what, 2 days to get home, or you can't come home for a month? Is that how? So it's kind of like if you want to get here, you need to get here in 2 days, right? Am I reading that correctly? I feel like I'm reading that correctly. Yeah, I feel like that's what that means. Yeah. So hey, you got 48 hours. Wow, that is interesting. Very, very interesting. That was the men's lacrosse thing. You guys see it right there? That's the Ivy League thing. Okay. Yeah. So you have 2 days to get home. If you can't get home, sorry, month-long vacation. Oh my God, hold on. Hold on. Did you guys see this? Oh my God, look at this one. The Chicago trading floor. What's kind of funny is the Chicago trading floor is basically empty anyway. Basically mostly all machines at this point. That's probably why nobody heard about that one. Yeah. Yeah, the trading floor is basically closed. All right, so this one is continuing to push. Let's wait till this one gets a bit lower. Again, like I said, on the daily, I'd definitely be looking for some little bounce over here. We are within kind of striking distance right now. We are about 187 pips, again, less than what we're down right now. You know, and I was even saying earlier, look at this move. It's not even crazy, right? It's within the range. It's about 160, and then again, it just continues to drop away. So that's where we're going with the pounds. Pound CAD. Pound CAD's actually popping right now on the daily, right? On the 4 hour, we can see again we're getting strength in this one, right? Look at this guy. So on the hourly, I do like this zone. Okay, this is actually a zone that is, unfortunately, it's kind of big. It's about 40 pips. Let's see on the lower. There's about a 30. So if we drop it down to the 30 minute, you guys should be able to see it. We were pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, kind of probing a little bit higher. You can see we have a level of basing, nice kind of a pop here. I'd prefer if this green wick was the long one, not the red one. But you can see there's definitely something going on here for a little bit of a basing. This was a nice push away. This is a strong, powerful, basically a very clean push, right? We haven't really seen any of those in here, minus this big spike up. That's not a bad little a level that we can kind of take advantage of. So in pound CAD, there may be an entry there. Right now, the 1 to 3 is in a good spot. The 1 to 5, a little bit past where I like to have a profit target, but the 1 to 3 is in a good position. We are in a downtrend setup on the 30 and 4 hour. So that is lining up for us. That may not be a bad thing to take, right? But keep this on your radar. Right now, where we are, we need, let's see, we're about 70 pips, right? ATR wise, this one moves right now 207 pips a day, so we're well within striking distance. The 4 hours 111, the 1 hour is 56. So it's basically like a 2 hour if it stays at what its current rate is to get up to that zone, turn and flip potentially to go back to the downside. So again, draw that one off the 30 minute, cut a little bit more risk out of it if you can. I don't think the 15 minute we can really do too much more. 15 minute we can do a little bit. We can put it there. Okay, so 177.94 to 178.17 is where you'd be looking. Again, we have to drop down to the 15 minute to kind of compress it a bit more. But yeah, there's 30, there's the hour. And again, by cutting it down, we're keeping the distal line, but we're kind of making it a bit more conservative by moving the the proximal line up a bit higher. Okay, and again, match it to your charts. So your candles are and prices are exactly exactly matched off. Pound Aussie or pound dollar. Pound dollar down 75 for the day. On the daily, again, we're getting very, very close to the zone. I wish we weren't basing. Hopefully this turns red on the daily and comes down and touches this zone. This was a pretty nice little bottom here, right? It pushed up, came back and retested, and then launched itself. So it's definitely something that we need to keep on our radar as a potential long. Right now, the 1 to 3 is in a perfect position. The 1 to 5 maybe a bit far. On the 4 hour, again, you can see kind of the same thing. Don't like that we have this little kick here, but again, it's kind of reaching up the grab borders. Let's see if it pushes down. You guys can see the retest over here. 1 to 3 we're good. 1 to 5, like I said, it would be pushing up a little bit kind of right above where that zone is. Not horrible, right? Typically, we like the higher wicks here down, not coming this way. But there would be a zone sitting probably in there. Let me see if I can refine that on the downside. Nope, unfortunately, that's where it's going to have to be. So if you're looking to get into this one down here, and again, lower time frame, you can see we got one here, so not necessarily a bad place. Again, downtrend set up on the 1 hour and 4 hour. I would have our target be sitting right over here, right before we get to this body, which is at 129.32. Okay, on the 30 minutes, again, you can kind of see we're in the same, basically right in the same wheelhouse. And again, you're seeing this wick behind the wall. So yeah, you want to get yourself out of that one, right about there. So you're looking at this one about a 1 to 4 at its maximum. The 1 to 3 got no problems with on this one to the top side. Your risk is 127.67 to 126.25. So not the small zone, but I think that's actually not a bad little zone there. Again, kind of on the daily where we were. If you want to do, refine it, make it much smaller. Again, let's see. Oops, I was like, why is it doing that? Oh, we combine both these together. We're going to do that. I would do this. Get a little bit more aggressive. There. Okay. And again, now your 1 to 3 is fine. Your 1 to 5 is good as well. Now that shrunk it to 128. I'm sorry, 127.85 to 127.61. All right. On the pound dollar. Pound Aussie. So the pound Aussie, you guys can see again, consolidating back down again. We're trying to make it a push there on the 4 hour. It's basically just going sideways. I don't necessarily love this one sideways. Hourly, we talked about this last night. We didn't even make it. We made it to the bottom. We didn't make it all the way back up, and this one had a fair amount of risk in it. This one has 82 pip risk on the hourly on the downside. So again, bit too much to really trade. I said if we can hold, get down here, take it. Otherwise, there's really not much we can trade. But yeah, on an hourly chart, I don't necessarily ever want 82 pips worth of risk. It's just better to walk away. And again, pound Aussies can be a bit volatile, right? Pound Singapore, again, daily wise, it's right in the middle. I'm going to wait till we get top or bottom. Nothing really to talk about. That's a bit crazy. Pound Swiss, I'm going to bring it back over here. So close. Remember I talked about just needing to go a little bit more. We're close. We're getting real close. You guys can see on the 4 hour, again, we had a decent day pushing to the downside. And here's where we are now. Here's where we were last night. So again, a little bit of a push, didn't really go into any zones, and then just continued to put its impulse and corrective moves to the downside. So really what I'm looking for, again, is I want to see what happens when we get down to this daily, and then we'll kind of cut it down to 4 hour and 1 hour and see if we can get some type of a reversal, see what comes out of it, see if anything good is there. Could be, maybe not. Again, like I said, I'd probably wait for some type of a confirmation just based off of how this one was pretty beat up, but not a bad zone. You can see last time we hit a zone here, we did have a little bit of a reaction off of it, and I continue to push lower, okay? Now, we have two zones here. Again, this is the more aggressive. Well, I expect a smaller term bounce on this one. If we break, again, we have this lower one here to kind of act as a support area for us, okay? Again, until we hit that, I'm not really focused on the lower time frames. Pound New Zealand, we're sitting in that daily zone. We did end up hitting that daily buying zone, and it did pop. Going in the 4 hour, it's just kind of flat, right? I wouldn't say there's a great zone for it to come off of. I mean, it's always great when you're like, yo, look at that green, it go long, and it went up. But I don't know. On the 4 hour, it's a pretty sloppy zone. On the hourly, kind of the same thing. Is there anything clean in here? No. I mean, there's this. This is not bad. I mean, it's okay, but it's quite a large. There. Talking about it's 104 pip range. Not looking for 104 pip, stop loss on, a 1 hour chart. Just here's New Zealand. You can see on the daily yesterday, it went up, it went down, and it basically opened and closed in the same spot. So a little bit more movement than that right now. We're sitting in a zone, but again, to me, this is still sitting inside of a downtrend at this point. I don't know. I'm gonna blow this up real quick. Hold on. I don't know. It's all right. I'd like to say that like yes go, but kind of iffy on this one. On an hourly. What did it bounce off of? Did it bounce a zone? Not really. I mean, you had two little ones here, a little kind of aggressive one, a little bit of a top, went a bit higher and grabbed this zone, but I don't know. I mean, look to the left. It's kind of hard to say because this is a reaction off of this level. So, we're here. The only thing I like about this one is if this does fail, okay, to me, this could be the opportunity to take a short here and then use this as our risk level, right? Something along those lines, right? Again, make sure we Harry Potter, make sure we get some space in there. You're talking only about 11 pips risk, so it's not necessarily horrible, and it's on a 1 hour. 11 pip risk, shooting for this to come down into this 62.05 and the 61.80 range, 1.3 and 1.5. So that's not a bad little trade setup. That could be something worth watching. And again, one way to do this is go ahead and set yourself an alert. Put yourself down here just a little bit outside the area, maybe 5 pips slower than it. And again, that way it gives you kind of alert to say, hey, listen, price is here. Is it forming that white space? Is it going to come back up? And, can it potentially kind of turn and flip on us? That's really all you're looking for. The alert doesn't go off. It means the price did not hit that area. It means that there's not a trade set up there yet. Okay.
That's literally all it means. All right. So that's New Zealand dollar. New Zealand Swiss, again, two sideways, not going to mess with that one. Um, New Zealand yen, let's see. It's making an attempt. Again, it didn't make it back up. You guys can see here, here's where we are now. Here's where we were last night. We were talking about, okay, can we get higher? Will this push back up? Will it give us the entry? And the answer is no. It got front run and turned and flipped on us. On the hourly, you can see it really didn't hit anything either, right? There's the hourly. Wasn't really much to hit on this one before it turned and flipped. And again, took a pretty decent kind of dive to the downside. So looking to the left, there's a level here, there's a level here, there's a bunch of basing here, and there's a sitting piece here. Um, it's going to bounce off one of these. Let's look for some type of a retest. If we can get some basing, that'd be really nice. It would give us a nice clean level to pull back to, but we're not quite there yet. So yeah, like I said, the New Zealand's I'm kind of nervous because any type of really bad news out of New Zealand, and this thing is just going to just fall through the floor. Like you think the Aussie's dropping, this has the ability to drop even more. So yeah, just a little bit risk averse with the New Zealand pairs. Going across and looking at the dollar. All right, dollar yen. Look at this guy. All the way down, bigger pop up, grab that gap, turn and flip, and we're retracing in those 2 days. So we already know what happened in the stock market today. This one kind of was forming, again, you can't draw a better triangle. Look at this. Flat here, line here. I mean, it's like, look at this. There's your flat. There is your angle, right? I mean, you honestly, you could not draw that like any more like, right? And then at the same time, you have this, right? I mean, it's like you couldn't. It's like impossible to draw that any cleaner of a. So it's kind of funny how those work out, right? Um, right now we're pushing back down again, at least on the 4 hour. I'm gonna wait till it comes all the way down. Again, this is a big zone. I would not use this as an entry. It's just a bit too much. As you can see, here's where the gap level was. There wasn't really even, unfortunately, it's like, you look here, the indicator wasn't even marking anything off. And then when it finally did give us something, we didn't even get the retrace on it. And again, I said it before, I wouldn't use this. I don't like with its form, but didn't even get a reentry. Didn't even get the opportunity to get into this trade. 30 minutes, 30 minutes was a bit different. Again, it snagged this top one here, but again, it was so small. I don't know that you would even be able to grab that. And since that time, even on the 30-minute, no real good reentry, right? This was not a zone. We never got to pull back, and then it just has fallen away in the last hour and a half. So wait till it gets a bit farther. I think we need to wait till it gets to the bottom of the range. When we get back down here into 102.29, maybe there'll potentially be some type of an overnight position since this is a 4 hour. But right now, this one is jacked. It's double the ATR of what it was a week ago. So, you're going to have to be a bit careful. Actually, you know what? I could probably, let's see. Yeah, you guys, there's the ATR. Here's what it is now, right? Now it's at 110 pips, 114 pips. A week ago, right, on the second, we were down here at 50. So you guys can really see the difference in the ATR values, right? Colors over here show up, but I guess so you guys can see it's definitely different, right? There's 112 where we are right now, again with the indicator, and this is what we normally are. So I'm gonna wait till it comes down. I think that's a all right. Across a dollar Swiss and dollar Swiss. Okay, so fill the gap. We are pushing to the downside. I am lost to bearish to this pair. Although a couple of those pairs, I do think we were going to have some dollar strength. I think this one will continue to push. So we did have a bit of again, we had a bounce off of this zone. It came back up, formed a new level. Since that time, again, haven't really been able to it's not marking any levels in there. I want to say push back down. Again, we have a level of buyers here. We have some buyers down here as well. We need to break through this. I definitely think it's possible. This is on the hourly what we've been doing. Um, here's where we are right now. And here's where we were last night. Right here, actually. We were kind of right in the middle. What I mentioned was we need to go top or bottom, right? Risk on either side is not bad. It's 22 here. And I'm sorry, 21 and 24, and all we've been doing is literally bouncing back and forth between these two zones. So been a couple different trade setups in here. You guys can see that the 1 to 3s on both sides are pretty close, right? There's that, and then there's that. The top is always the better one in this position. I think the short was much, much better. I'm kidding. Oh, God. Huh. Whoa. All right. So, um, hold on. I'm trying to type back to this guy real quick. So we had a local high school that closed down their turf fields. Well, they're closed Thursday, Friday, and Monday. Someone in their community is being tested for coronavirus. So got it. It's going to happen. Then he said, I saw the NCAA tournament was going without fans. He's like, but did you see the NBA suspended their season now? Did you guys see that? The NBA suspended their season? Has anybody seen that yet? He just messaged it. I had not heard that yet. Um, thanks. Yeah. Oh, it just came out? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You did say it. NBA suspended until further notice. Yeah, I just saw it. Yep. Sorry, Ernest. I didn't see that one. It came through the text message. I was like, what? I typically will read it and then I write, wow, that's crazy. Crazy. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, it's just, like I said, I'm going to say it again. What is it that we don't know? Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah, Utah Jazz player. What is his name? Rudy, Rudy Gobert, I guess. Yeah, yeah, Rudy Gobert. Yeah. Hey, man, you're getting paid. It's your job. Yeah, but like I said, hey, all I gotta say is hate them all you want. Russia has it right. If you have it and you didn't, self quarantine yourself, if you weren't feeling good, you're going to jail. So, telling you, they got it right. They're not going to get affected as much. Like I haven't even seen numbers out of Russia yet. They're just probably killing everybody that has it. Never know. But yeah, so dollar Swiss, nice little trade in here, back and forth, daily trade. Again, this one first triggered right around 11 o'clock again, came back up again, give you a second entry. Um, again, a bit ago, and then obviously this tank is just coming from the news. You wouldn't have been able to guess that one. But again, it's amazing how the technicals have worked in this one. Okay, entry at 2 a.m., entry at 9 a.m., entry at 11 or at 1 a.m. I'm sorry, 1 p.m., and then entry obviously at 7 p.m. All right. Man, my kids are going to be home. If that kid at Spalding has it, my kids are going to be out pretty soon. Literally, this lacrosse tournament this weekend may be like the last event that the kids have for a while. Oh, such drama. And so I have 13 teams coming in. Nobody's said anything yet. Nobody's asked, nobody's asked, oh, are we still doing this with the coronavirus? I think all the parents are like, just get this one in, get this one in. But I'm sure somebody was, we'll see tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow. Um, Good thing is I don't have to pay the referees until they show up that morning. So, all right. So we finally breached this zone. This is the zone we had talked about. We had hit it. We pushed all the way back down again. We hit it again. We pushed all the way back, and then we finally drove through that zone again. So we've had that area up there, and again, the 1 to 3 target was fine, but again, this zone has been pierced 3 days in a row now. Again, this one started Friday, Tuesday, or basically Sunday, Monday, and then into the Tuesday one now. So it's been there. It's rallying a bit higher, so we are kind of at that not all-time high, but near-term high. We don't even see anything above. We got something way, way, way up there, but that's about it on the daily. So dollar CAD is kind of taken out of play for anything in the larger time frames. The lower time frames, again, we need to get a little bit more room. And again, everything bad happening, this one is continuing to go up. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback now, but if it's that bad here, it's that bad inside of you know, inside of Canada. So right now, I'm not going to, we're not going to analyze this one. This is a during the day kind of trade only. And even so, you can see on the 30-minute, we really didn't have many opportunities to get in. This one did not have the same type of oil play. Because again, obviously oil, US, Canada. I'm telling you, the best trades today, we're sitting there, basically the Euro CAD and the Pound CAD against the CAD. All right. This one, not so much. And the CAD yen was crap, so nothing there. And then, dollar Singapore. Okay. Dollar Singapore That's a 30-minute. Let's not get too excited. It's like, whoa. Daily, we're not quite back up. We're rallying. We're rallying. 4-hour, you can see we were unable to hit any zones in here. Nothing great. I mean, there's a little zone here, a little zone here, a little zone here, a little zone here. And we finally got something up top. Now, the top one is not bad if anybody's interested in trading this one. Problem is, I mean, this one's only about 25 pips. It's better than what we've seen on some of the other pairs. But let's see what it does when it finally gets up there. We are still sitting about 55 pips away. So about 12 hours worth of movement is what we would need for that to get up there. That's going to probably be something to look at in the morning. But there is a potential short coming up in the dollar Singapore. Okay. That is the dollar pairs. All right. So the biggies. Yeah, he's like, Hank. Oh, you know what? I responded back. I'm like, I heard Tom has it. He's like, Hanks, yeah. Getting late, so I'm going to respond back. Yeah, we're talking about trying to figure out if it's my assistant coach. We're trying to figure out like this weekend could be the last weekend, and like if we have people that are starting to pop up in the area with it, the first thing they're going to do is like close like all activities and all group this and all group that, which would probably eliminate the Howard County season, which starts in like 2 weeks. And we're kind of like, wow, this could be like the last weekend. Like we should definitely try to get this in because this could be it for the summer for the league. I mean, who knows? They would. I'm assuming they'll do. I don't know. It seems like 3 weeks is the thing. Is the common 3 to 4 weeks. But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So crude oil. So obviously on the daily we were down again in crude. Okay. Here's the 4-hour. You guys can see that we did come up. We did kind of form a top. Again, price did not rally back up to that on the 4-hour. Sitting over here on the 1-hour, you can kind of see what it looked like, right? Again, you guys can see a bunch of basing from the afternoon. On the lower time frame, again, is there a huge move? No, not necessarily. Nothing you can see on the 30-minute. Now, on the 5-minute, when you go into the 15s and the 5s, that's where you're starting to see some other things. You can see there's a little 15 target here. But dropping down into the 5-minute, that's where there was actually a trade from this morning. Okay, so let's go here. We will go into backtest mode, and we will go back down to, gotta go back, take this off. Let's see, right into here. Go. That was the zone that we were talking about trading earlier today. Okay, you guys can see right here. Again, we're still inside, but it formed a new lever. So the overlapping level, it takes the current one. But there's the trade. Okay. What happened is, again, guys, this is down to the 5-minute. You don't see me do this too often, but again, when we have news releases, we have to dial it down to the lower time frame. See if price is driving into zones before the news release. And that's exactly what it did. You can see right here into this candle, 10:05, 10:10, 10:15. We're sitting here in the zone at 10:20. 10:25, it started to kind of come out, and then boom, continue to push down. So you did get another entry at about 10:45 off the response, off the reaction, and then it collapsed back down again by 11:20. So this entire trade took, what, half hour basically, depending on which entry you got into, and you were able to take this about 50 cents to the downside in about, like I said, in about a half hour. So, not too bad of a little trade. Like I said, this one you weren't taking in Nadex. You would have had to take this in the futures market. Nadex had prices jacked completely up, so there was really no way to take this with Nadex. After that, obviously, if you got into it later in the day, I mean, this thing obviously, crude oil definitely took a major tank in like the last, hour and a half. Yeah, in the last hour and a half. I mean, this is big, right? 33.65 back down to 31.35. So, yeah, quite a move. Quite a move. James, where you at? James, did your people call you? Yeah, so big move in oil. Again, you're going to have to, I'm not going to play this one overnight. You're going to have to play this one first thing in the morning. On the 5-minute, we're not going to look at zones there. But on the daily, again, we have nothing showing. On the 4-hour, we have nothing showing. Like I said, this is low for oil. Now, we do have areas where we had buyers here because it did come down and push back up. Came back down again, pushed a bit higher. So, there are definitely some buyers there. But again, this is going to have to be morning analysis. The 1-hour is giving us not a bad level. That level is down here at, what, 28.57? Okay, so we got some room to run on that one. We got about $3 more to go. If we're down there tomorrow morning, God only knows what's going to happen. But again, keep that in your kind of radar. Looking at, you guys can see that I was going to low time frames today, right? Here's the daily. Again, day down. It's pulling back again, right? Here's your 4-hour. Again, a zone here, but just crappy. You wouldn't be taking this zone again. We're looking for this to continue to drop to the downside. On the hourly, okay, kind of the same idea. I based here for so long. Not worth taking any type of long or shorts off of it. It had a little bit of a bounce, but again, it's not something that I'd want to take for a long target. I would definitely be looking for this to go farther south. We do have something sitting right here, though. Down here at least here, it's 1626 or 35. Again, you got to be a bit cautious about that. And again, you can see that that's where price gap to, right? We gap to this level. So again, I would have to say that I'd be looking for bearish positions in this one to get this thing back down to what 1574. Quite a haul, but again, on these lower time frames tomorrow morning when gold is going to be a bit more active versus nighttime trading, look for some of these pullbacks. Hopefully, we can get something. This could potentially be something right here. We haven't printed the 3 candles that it needs. This could potentially be an area where we'll go short tomorrow. Okay. Sitting up here at what? At 1643 to 1650. Little 7 pip area right there. So there could definitely be something, sitting in there. That's probably on your side. I see what? No, Mac. What happened to me last night? I was on HP. Oh. Yeah, you gotta refresh. All right, so that could be a potential short area. We'll see where it pulls back. Look for some basing levels. Look for this to drop tomorrow morning, particularly with that news. Again, PPI and core PPI can definitely be movers, especially if there's nothing else. The forecast tomorrow, let me pull this over across. Okay, 1 and -1. If these are off, we could definitely get some movement. And again, whenever you see the I, okay, producer price index, okay, demand, inflation, always good. Okay. That's what's going to drive us. All right. That's what's going to drive gold. Looking at silver. Okay. Silver, only, I won't do that one first. Obviously sitting in daily demand. Okay. Again, that makes us think. It's like, is this going to stop or is it going to push this time? Okay. It drove pretty deep and it's already, this is number 3 that it's actually hit this area. On the 4-hour, you can see it again. We hit it here. We rode to the top. We push a little bit deeper. We're pushing a little bit deeper now. Could this be the breaker? That's the interesting thing. Okay, on the hourly, you can see again, this is a little wick over wick zone that it did pop into. And remarkably enough, this wick over wick had a response here that bounced it all the way back up again. And that's where we're sitting into it, and we're seeing a little bit of a green right now. Pretty interesting after this drop. And again, this is kind of a parabolic drop in the last hour, right? Largest candle into here, dropped right into a zone. Kind of an interesting little target, right? So this is what, again, if you like this one, no, not that. I hit the zone. That's what you're looking at. Your 1 to 3 is not bad. Your 1 to 5 is also not bad. Now, I'm bearish silver. I think silver will also come down farther with gold, but this may be a short-term position if any of you guys are, comfortable trading silver. You can see it didn't quite come down to the 30. It needs to go just a little bit farther. They actually have a level below this, although you could have marked this zone off. This would not have been a horrible zone to mark that we just hit. So it is interesting that the hourly is a bit higher than what the 30-minute is going to be. And now I'm curious to see why I didn't mark that one. Probably because, you know what? I bet you it was a zone. It looks like it just pushed a little bit lower. Yeah, it was a zone. Okay. Again, in this case, you go with the lower one anyway. So, yeah, I was going to say, wait a second. Yeah, so again, that we got a little silver setup. NQ, straight down. So last night we were sitting, I know we're sitting here. Let me bring all this stuff up again. Okay. Last night we were talking about either of these two zones is probably not bad. If you continue across, again, it formed that zone. Again, I remember said we're not going to take this one. I don't like the way that was formed. We're not interested. We go across, you guys will see. What did it do? It tagged that zone. Now, this is a little bit of quite a large area of risk. You can see we did not quite get back up to its 1 to 3, but had you have taken this long in this position, okay, had you have taken this, let's see, this actually triggered at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You were fine. You were up 2.5 to 1, you definitely would have taken a loss on this position. You may even wanted to close it down before, the craziness actually kicked in, right? End of day is like sitting right over here. So again, valid zone. I mentioned that those two zones would have been the great ones to take. This one, I don't know that I would have taken that one. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Hold on, let me see. Actually, had I seen that one, that may have actually been a viable target. You know why? Because again, price was pushing down and then started to rally up basically from the market open from 9 o'clock in. It's at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is a reversal time. If you're sitting inside of a zone, particularly a 30-minute zone, at 10 o'clock, which is the most common reversal time, that actually wouldn't have been a bad place to short. So yeah, maybe I screwed that one up by not catching that one. That would have been a pretty nice little trade if anybody caught that one. Actually, I believe this is I think this is Carl's trade today. I think this is where he got in, was based off of this 30-minute. And again, I know he definitely got short and he rode this one down and got out. I'm pretty sure that must have been what he got into then, because he made the comment about the indicator. So that had to have been it. Yep. So again, that was Carl's trade for the day. The bounce at the bottom, same thing. You could have taken that one, got some money off that one there. Right now, with the pushing lower, again, it's kind of got to see what it does tomorrow. On the daily, we got room to run. 4 hour, again, we got room to run on this one right now. Okay. I can take these off. I don't know if it's down here tomorrow morning. Yeah, it'll be an interesting place. That area is down here, what, 74.27? It's quite a bit of an overnight. Looking at the Dow, obviously the Dow in the last hour and a half has been straight down. There's your daily zone. Okay, so it has now come down and bounced off of that thing. Let's see if this one holds. Last time we called the bottom, it held. Let's see if this one does it now as well. 4 hour, again, we can't even see this on the 4 hour. This is a daily only. Last time we were here, yeah, this was basically Christmas 2018. So let's see if this is able to hold. I do think we will go a bit lower into this zone. I doubt we will going to glance right off the top of that one, particularly with the overnights. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, near-term bottom right now is what we're kind of dealing with. That's a runner. Heck of a runner. Where are we at right now? We've gone from, what is this? 23,846 to 22. Man. Huge. Huge. Yeah, let's see if this thing retraces. Yeah, obviously very, very emotional last couple hours. Yeah, so there's where we are with the Dow and the S&P, last but not least. Yeah, this one, again, we popped. We're up a little bit over 1 to 1. Again, kind of that same pop. We don't have anything down here. Yeah, you guys can see we actually did pop it there. Let's see. Yeah, so we were good in our setup from last night. Oh, no. That was from yesterday. Yeah, no, we just hit it again and bounced. So, yeah. It wasn't the fresh entry. That was from yesterday. So, not really anything in S&P. Again, we're going to wait till see how much farther it goes. This one, interestingly enough, though, let's see. We have a weekly zone down here, but we do not have anything on the daily. Not until we get down here to 23.98. And I think that will pop breakers on the way down. So I don't know that we are going to make it down there tonight. Yeah, indices. I'm gonna wait. We'll check those out tomorrow morning. See if there's going to be a pop tomorrow morning. But it looks like the answer is probably going to be yes, if it continues at its current pace. So, all right, guys. So lots of excitement in the last hour and a half. I feel at this point we should turn into like a news broadcast with everything that we're finding at night, because everything seems to keep happening. Man, look at this. Woo! 287. When we started tonight, this was at 160. Yeah. And now dollar CAD is obviously up in definitely a respectable range. Euro dollar, flat. Pound is over here, but man, 288. Woo! Look at that runner. And it's getting worse for the CAD. We're almost up 100 pips in there. So, yeah, some craziness tonight. So, all right, guys. So let's get in here. Let's get these tickets purchased. Make sure you get in. We only have 5 in right now. Like I said, everybody's eyes are peeled on what's going on. So who are we missing here? James is not in. Who else we got here? Will's in. Josh. Oh yeah, Josh is in. I was like, wait a second, Josh is not there. Ernest was not in. Who else we got? Debbie, did you get in? Yeah, Debbie's in there too. All right. And maybe Vanessa will be back soon. I know she was still having housing issues, so we'll have to shoot her a message and see what is up with her. Be like, hey, where are you at? You're missing some pip chips. Missing some pip chips. So, all right. So, with that being said, let's close this down. I think everybody is in. James beat Ernest again to that last spot. We will see if that can get him the pip chips for tonight. So, the winner of tonight's drawing is. Ooh. Somebody's getting a streak in here. Man, she's like. I'm telling you, this is like winner of the year so far. Look at this again. That's like 6 times now in 2020. I feel like she's just taking it over. Yeah, I feel like she's just taking it over. Man, you guys are blaming Ernest of hacks, but I feel like, I feel like she's got the hacks going on now. Man, I don't know. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. All right, guys. So just again, guys and girls, just to reiterate, this is what we have going on for tomorrow. You have PPI in the morning at 8:30. Then we got all the European juiciness and goodiness. Yeah, we will see. Going to be interesting tomorrow. Don't be surprised if we pop some breakers tomorrow. Like I said, I don't know if that daily will hold. If it holds, more power to it. That would be an interesting place for that to drop down to. And again, the emotion may be out already. We'll see if that retraces off of there. But yeah, safe trading tomorrow, guys. Be careful. With that being said, I'll catch you in the morning. Take care.